Welcome to FTB Fridays. I am Jason C. McLean, your host, and it's 2021. I figured this would be a soft start to the year. Maybe we talk about Montreal politics or something like that. Then, bam! Out of nowhere, there's going to be a curfew, which is the first time that's ever happened in Quebec since the October crisis. I'm like, okay, that's going to be the dominant story, and then bam! Attempted coup d'etat in the United States. So we're recording this Thursday, the 7th of January at it's 3:27 p.m. Eastern time right now. So if something happens between now and when you see it, you know why we're not talking about it. I am joined, of course, by our a musician, poet, blogger, and an American in exile in the Balkans, Der Kosmonaut. Welcome.
Hello, Jason. How are things in Montreal? I see you got the lockdown coming, so hang in tight.
We got the lockdown, but now we're having a curfew.
Curfew, yeah. We experienced that here in Serbia last spring, so it's tough. So
yeah. We haven't experienced that since the 70s. So it's before I was born, actually. So yeah. Now, okay. With a lot of people, I'm hearing a lot about, just to bring everyone up to speed. Yesterday, there was an attempted coup d'etat in the United States. President-elect Joe Biden, the electoral college votes for him were being certified. There were some Republicans within their rights, but not morally, objecting to it, certain states, but they were allowed to do that. Then Donald Trump set a bunch of people on fire, basically inspired them to go down, and some people stormed the Capitol building, went inside, and like there was gunshots. There's one. I think there's 4 deaths. I heard.
Yes,
4 deaths. So now, while a lot of people saying this is shocking but not surprising, because a lot of people did think this might happen. One of the people who thought something like this might happen was you last time on FTB Fridays. So I guess I could say you're not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. I warned explicitly, repeatedly, that this is going to happen. I've been following the far right wing. I've been tracking them for pretty much a few years, but particularly this year. They announced it. I can give you names. I can tell you who organized it. A guy by the name of John Moore, a right winger from Missouri. He goes by the handle the Liberty Man. Okay. About 3 weeks ago, I was listening to. If you really want to spy, I don't want to give any plugs, so I'm not going to do that.
Don't give the URL. Yeah.
I'm not going to give any plugs, but I was listening, and about
you listen, so we don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I listened, and he said about 3 weeks ago that he called on men to start arriving in Washington D.C. armed between the 4th and the 6th. He organized this. This is the guy who organized it. I was listening to it, and every week they have been coordinating and organizing and justifying this. So I knew this was happening. What I'm absolutely aghast and surprised at, how is it that I, a poet in Serbia, knew about this, but somehow Homeland Security, the FBI with the Patriot Act, the Effective Terrorism Act, NSA, they didn't know about this. I'm absolutely astonished that I knew about this.
Yeah,
I knew about this. Obviously, thousands of people knew about this.
I suspected it was going to happen. I didn't know the specific details like that, but I figured something might happen. Yeah. But people are complaining about the Capitol Police, and yes, some of the Capitol Police let people in through the barricades, which is disgusting. But it's not the Capitol Police or the DC Police's job to deal with domestic terrorists, who these are. Like, they're not protesters; they're domestic terrorists.
Well, again, there are a lot of questions about what happened yesterday, but I think the most pertinent question is, why do we have the USA Patriot Act? Why do we have the 1996 Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act? We were told, this was beaten, the propaganda for now a quarter of a century, that we needed these laws. We needed a police state exactly because of the domestic terrorism. That was the whole thing of NSA surveillance and spying, everything. What was this for if they can just some ragtag,
Yeah.
ignorant people can just march into the Capitol.
Yeah. There
What's
was
going on?
there was
What's
a
going
meme.
on? I really
Yeah.
wonder what's going on. How is this possible?
Well, I think
Why? What's with all these laws then?
yeah. Well, one of the things like just I saw this meme, which I thought was kind of funny, is like $500 billion a year defense establishment gets flummoxed by Duck Dynasty in 15 minutes. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
like,
so obviously there's a, I mean, there's well, and then there's the sinister thing is, I mean, obviously we know there's a lot, despite what Trump and the MAGA cult says, we know that there are a lot of people in law enforcement, in the feds that actually support Trump.
yeah,
And so I'm just wondering if there had to be someone in the feds and the federal security hierarchy who not, because if I knew about it, they certainly did, that
well,
just decided to let it happen. I can't understand
there,
how this was allowed to happen.
there's one person in the federal security hierarchy that I for sure I think knew this was going to happen, and that's the very top. That's Donald Trump. Ultimately,
Well,
the
yeah.
answer to him. So maybe that's the fact, and that's why like a lot of people are calling for now, like Schumer and Pelosi are outright calling for the cabinet and for the cabinet and Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
enough. That's not enough. He needs to be arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been going on? We've had for the last 2 weeks, he with Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, disgraced former General Michael Flynn, conspiring in the White House,
Yeah.
talking about to invoke the Insurrection Act and limited martial law. This is conspiracy to commit treason. Then we hear the tape. We hear the phone call this weekend.
Yeah, from Georgia.
I mean, there are at least a dozen federal laws that have been broken by the president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Openly. This is worse than Nixon. And he needs to be arrested. The 25th Amendment is not enough. He needs to be arrested.
Well, first he needs to be out of power because I think Pelosi and Schumer said that if they don't invoke the 25th, they're going to go to impeachment and try and get a conviction. And then I guess you can arrest him.
Well, either way, he needs to be, whether it's today, whether it's the 20th, he needs to be arrested immediately because next time there's going to be someone much more intelligent, someone who's really got their act together. And it's not going to be, they're going to get it right. We cannot allow this. We cannot allow open criminality. I mean, the whole world has seen the United States. The whole world. This is no longer like just me, the Kosmonaut, speculated. No, the whole world has seen it.
Yeah.
So the 25th Amendment, impeachment, but he cannot just cannot just be removed from office and then he's just off on his merry way.
True, but first you do have to remove him from office first.
Sure. I understand. Okay, sure. You have to remove him from office, but he has to. I mean, but that's
and not just
he has to face consequences.
Yeah, but not just by the 20th. He has to be out of there. I think before the 20th.
Because I mean, there's a danger now. Many former officers and officials in the Pentagon are really worried that he might try to provoke a war with Iran. And to provoke a war with Iran in order to destabilize the country and then give an excuse as to why he shouldn't leave power. I mean, he's still in charge of the nuclear codes.
Yeah.
This is a very, very dangerous situation. He needs to be removed immediately.
Do you think it'll be by the 25th, or do you think because if not, they're going to go for impeachment again?
Well, we will see. Well, we will see. I hope it will go by the 25th Amendment. But again, this is still a tricky thing because apparently, from what I've read of the 25th Amendment, the cabinet can remove him, but then the Congress still has to get the 3/5 majority in order to approve it. And obviously, what we've seen with the Republicans yesterday, I'm not sure if either the House or Senate will be able to muster up that that the number of votes needed.
Out of curiosity, do the House and the Senate change over on the 20th with the presidency, or have they already? Because I heard something about the new House members being seated already. Like,
yeah, so the House has already been seated, and then the Senate is seated on the 20th.
Okay, so it's still Mitch McConnell and the Republican majority at this point.
Yeah, it's still that.
Come to think of it,
And
even
so,
when
yeah, I mean, I think also another thing. I mean, I think what has happened in the last 4 years is that now there needs to be a serious reappraisal of the U.S. Constitution. I mean, I'm here in the Balkans, and I talk to everyone. When I tell everyone here that the U.S. is still using a system from 230 years ago, people are like, what? 230 years? And this is the problem. And this is the problem. And so all of these right wingers, when they're talking about they're making an argument based on the Constitution from 230 years ago, and so we need a new constitution. Once again, except for one president Republican, Republican has won the popular vote. The Electoral College is completely anti-democratic. It's left over from slavery, from the antebellum South, in order to preserve the power of the plantation aristocracy. And then also they need to move up the transition date from election day to January 20th. It's ridiculous. Every other country, in Canada, once the writ is dropped, that's it. Parliament, everyone's out, and as soon as it's announced who's the new prime minister, you're out. They give you a few days to clean out your office, but that's it. You're out. You're out. Every other country, you lose the election, you're out. I mean, not every country. You got some other countries like the U.S., but it should be that you're out. And
there's some things about our system I don't like here in Canada, like first past the post. I wish it was a bit more representative. But like, I mean, for example, if you take out the Electoral College, the system of checks and balances with the president being in the executive branch, that actually makes sense. That's a good idea. Like, it's like Montreal has that system where you vote for mayor separately than voting for your city councilor. So like, it's just there's just those things put in there, and you knew it was put in there just to basically make a deal. Like,
actually the well-known Austrian logician Kurt Gödel, he escaped from Nazi Austria, and he went to the United States, and so he became a citizen. And to become a citizen, you have to study the Constitution. And it was very interesting because he was a logician. So he had actually studied the Constitution. And when he went before the immigration judge said to Gödel, "Oh yeah, you've now left the dictatorship. You're now in a free country." And Gödel vehemently objected because he figured he could see even through the Constitution how it was possible to have a dictatorship in the United States. But let's get back to this attempted coup. It's not over. It's not over. From what I'm reading, this was just a dress rehearsal.
Okay.
On between the 17th and inauguration day, they are planning an armed push across all the state capitals.
Yeah, I saw there was some state capital action last night too.
Yeah, but on the 17th, they're organizing an armed march in all the state capitals on the 17th, and then once again they're going to go on the 20th to Washington. So we're not out of this by a long shot.
That's why these leaders, the ones who've been identified, they had their faces shown. One guy was the Viking guy there was identified as a known neo-Nazi, but the people's identities are being known. I'd say they have to all be arrested. All the people who are
all these people have to be arrested, and of course there's a considerable justifiable anger amongst Black people and other non-whites in the U.S. because it's just absolutely ridiculous, the double standards.
Oh yeah.
That are applied. I mean,
the cops this past summer, Black Lives Matter this past summer in Washington D.C. You see the row of cops protecting, I think, the Lincoln Memorial or something like that.
Yes.
Like compared to what actually happened at the Capitol when there actually was an insurrection, attempted insurrection. Like,
This happened last spring, also in Michigan, and the anti-lockdown protests, which led to the attempted kidnapping and assassination of Governor Whitmer there.
Yeah.
And yet again, you always see whenever it happens to be white Americans who are violent, aggressive, even armed, you always see that the police are always very easygoing. Or if it's whites, but they're leftists, they're anti-racist, they're anti-fascist, they're going climate activists, environmental activists, so anyone that's any progressive cause, even if
Yeah.
you're white, there's a complete double standard. And I think
Yeah.
everyone sees this now. I mean, this is now obvious to the entire world that there's a double standard.
Yeah. One thing actually I heard speak about, like, I actually, that what some of the messaging that the right's trying to put out. I mean, I can't remember where I saw this. I think someone reported on it. They're trying to say these aren't Trump supporters. They're not neo-Nazis. They're Antifa pretending to be Trump supporters.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, let's this is why. So this is why Trump not only needs to be removed, but he needs to be arrested. So I've been there's been I don't. In my lifetime, I don't recall any president that's been so analyzed by psychologists and psychiatrists as Trump.
Yeah.
And there's one psychologist who specializes in dealing with cults, and she says that the MAGA cult, this is a typical cult. And she said what needs to happen is that Trump needs to face consequences and that he needs to be arrested and imprisoned. And once that happens, she says that it will kind of break the spell. It would snap the spell from the people in the cult. Because right now he has this aura of invincibility that he's God. And that's why it's important that he be arrested and tried, because this will snap people out of their madness.
Does it risk making him a martyr at the same time, though?
But she was saying that no, but I mean I'm not a trained psychiatrist, so what she was just saying that she says that they would be disappointed, but she says that as far as seeing him no longer as this infallible, invincible demigod, that they would be disappointed, but then they will slowly come back down to earth and down to reality. But of course, they're going to spin it the right wing, because they were saying that Antifa and left wing and Black Lives Matter protests are violent, but they're not violent. And so, of course, they're going to try to spin it. But no one believes. I mean, only they believe their own delusions.
One of the people came in with zip ties, like they were going to take hostages of Congress people and stuff like that. Like that was one of the photos. There's a photo of somebody with like a gun and with like those, like the kind of zip ties that police use on when they're detaining people in a kettle. Like,
well, John Moore. I mean, it was blood curdling what John Moore was saying that was going to happen. They were going to go in and they were actually going to go after Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. I think Attorney General Barr hadn't resigned yet, and they were saying, "Yeah, we're going to go there and we're going to take them, we're going to try them, and we're going to hang them." So yeah, this was look. If anyone does not understand, this was more. This is the thing. This is what makes this very unique. This was uniquely American. So this wasn't like your typical sort of coup attempt that you have in most countries. This was
that America is sometimes behind.
Yeah, but but unlike the other coup historically, I'm talking about 20th century coups. What was unique about this one? What's typically American was that this was a lynch party. Oh. This was a lynch party. These were enraged white American. You look at the history of lynching, it's always been a fantasy, a paranoia that did not happen. They get whipped up into a frenzy. This was a lynching party.
Yeah.
And John Moore explicitly stated that they were going to go to Washington armed to get Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, some other people in Washington, try them and hang them. So yeah, that's the thing. This was a lynch party.
Yeah.
This was a lynching party. Yeah. And this is what makes it very uniquely American. Yeah.
One thing I see that the response to this, which is a little bit like, at least shows me people are waking up a little bit, is even Pelosi, people like that who are usually like, like we should we have a problem with the president, but we still have to support him. No, she's like outright no. She wants the head of the Capitol Police to resign. She wants him 25th Amendment, if not impeachment. And she's outright saying domestic terrorism, insurrection, like what they're saying these are white supremacists, these are terrorists. That's the mainstream left is actually saying that, and even some Republicans, although they're saying they don't like it was Lindsey Graham was like saying like what happened yesterday was really wrong. It tarnished the presidency. But they're actually talking tough. And Facebook, Twitter yesterday suspended Trump's account, and Facebook said Facebook and Instagram indefinitely his accounts are going to be suspended at least until the end of his presidency.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, what this is though, but let's not, let's not be, let's not be fooled by these politicians.
Yeah.
The reason why they're acting is because Trump has now finally discredited the United States before the entire world.
Yeah.
There's that, and this is why you hear all this very jingoistic language about our sacred democracy and the halls of Congress. They don't really believe that. What it is that they need this. The American empire needs to have this illusion to the rest of the world, so they can pursue their imperialist agenda.
Yeah.
Trump has now ruined that. The United States has been turned into a mockery, and they can't have that. And so that's why you had the National Association of Manufacturers, which is the oldest capitalist organization in the country, and the biggest and largest, and that's why they're calling for his removal. So that's what that's about.
Yeah,
he's embarrassed the country, and so that's why they're being forceful. But again, they over the past 4 years, neither Pelosi, no Schumer, no most of the Democrats have really attacked Trump for his real crimes. They ran on him about him being a Russian agent and things like that, whereas but his crimes that he really committed with the war, with immigration, the travel ban, the Muslim ban,
Bernie,
all of these other things. They were always mealy-mouthed about that, and it was always just sort of Russia, Russia, Russia. So now realizing that now he's nearly destroyed. He's destroyed the reputation. Now they're coming out for this. So I mean, I'm glad they're doing it, but it's just a little bit too late.
Oh, I don't think they're altruistic about it. I mean, it's the fact that Congress was attacked. Like, no, they're not altruistic, but I'm saying the fact that they actually are talking like people on the left have been talking. People and there's some like Bernie, AOC, the squad. They've been saying things like this too. I've been saying, you've been saying the fact that like Nancy Pelosi's now kind of talking like you a little bit. That's a good sign. Like I'd say that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, because everyone. I mean, and now it's beyond denial what's happening, and even though the Democrats control the Congress and the White House, this right-wing threat is not going away. And again, that's why I have to repeat: you have to not just Trump, the Trump, Ivanka, Donald Jr., Eric. Jared Kushner, you have to Rudy Giuliani, you've got to go all the way down, and you've got to arrest these people and try them and bring them to justice, because otherwise it's only going to get worse, and it's only going to get worse. And I really, really don't think there's a really good future for the United States. Also, the Democrats they have basically 1 year to get things done. They have to either come in with a UBI for the duration of the pandemic, or something like $2,000 a monthly recurring checks. They have to get Medicare or universal health care. They have to do tenant protection. No, they have a year to do many these very important things that the majority, even Republicans, want. But if they don't do this, if it's business as usual, catering to Wall Street and Silicon Valley and pursuing imperialist agendas, then the Democrats are going to get wiped out in 2 years in the midterms, and then someone, either Trump or whether we got to get rid of Trump to put him in prison, but then someone even worse than Trump will come.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson.
I've heard that name.
Yeah, someone like that. So we're not out of the danger. I mean, between now and the 20th, the country is in danger, the world's in danger. But even if Trump is out this far, we have to realize that the United States now has a mass fascist movement.
Yeah. Will Biden be able? I mean, Biden, maybe not Biden, but his attorney general. Do you think they'll be able to do it, to get all these people?
Well, they can do it. They can do it. It's the question is, do they have the will?
Yeah. I want to hear about Biden. He listens to the people in the room, and I guess it depends on who's in the room.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not expecting much from Biden, but
Kamala, maybe.
What?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, I'm not sure about her. I mean,
he's a prosecutor. I mean, Kamala's a cop. That was a trending.
Well, that's the thing. Is she, that's the thing. Maybe, but they have to get serious. Maybe Harris will do it, but they can do it. It's not a question. This the U.S. government. The U.S. government's the most powerful government.
Yeah.
In the history of the world, they can do anything they want to do. They can do it. They built the atomic bomb. They put people on the moon, despite what the flat earthers say. The United States can do whatever it wants. So if they really want to crack down, they can. They should. If it's not now, then the republic's lost.
All right. Well, there's some very interesting way to start 2021. Dear Kosmonaut, I want to thank you very much for being my guest and enlightening us on what you've been saying all along, but now other people seem to be catching up on. People can follow you at dearkosmonaut.blogspot.com.
Yeah. Actually, it's their-cosmonaut.blogspot.com.
Okay, and of course, you can follow Forget the Box. Give us a like and a share on Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, and of course, you can for daily content. There is always forgetthebox.net. We'll catch you on the next FTB Fridays.